All right, Seismic Sounds of the Underground. We're back for another episode this week, as I'd like to welcome my special guest on this episode, whose band just released a monster of an album last month. It's titled Garden of Heathens from Philadelphia's Heavy Temple. I got bassist and frontwoman, the mighty High Priestess Nighthawk, joining me. What's going on, Nighthawk? How you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming on with me. I appreciate it. Well, let's get right into it. Garden of Heathens. New full length that's out now on Magnetic Eye Records. And just quick, before we get into the music, I just got to say how much I love the cover on this album. I mean, it's so old school.
Me too, man. Me too.
Yeah. It just, it always, of course, adds to the listening experience overall. And I don't care what anyone says, but I mean, who was a talented artist that did this freaking killer cover?
His name is James Buscema. I think I'm saying that the right way. Bousema. In case anybody can't, I think I've said it 3 ways so far. But he's a fantastic artist out of Vegas, and my other band used him for their. I saw some like the preliminary stuff he was doing for them, and I was like, "This is exactly." I'd already been thinking like Meatloaf, "Bad Out of Hell."
Yeah, it's very similar, totally.
And so it just really fit what I was envisioning for this collection of songs. We always have we ended up just always having like some kind of zodiac on our record covers. So this is just all of the zodiac symbols personified or anthropomorphized, I guess. Tying into like the Garden of Eden Heathens flip-flop thing, and really that like 70s sci-fi illustration kind of vibe. And I think he just captured the mood really well. And I can't remember the guy who did the layout for the album, but he did a fantastic job. This is my favorite thing that we've done.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So far. Ideally, that's usually what should progress in that way.
Sure, yeah. Well, I have
should
to
be
say
hating your latest record or whatever.
True. Yeah. Well, I have to say it's my favorite thing you guys have done musically. Absolutely. I really personally feel like you've stepped it up big time in the record. Obviously, you guys have, obviously Heavy Temple's been known over the years for, the dark, laden, doom, heavy psych nature of your sound. Now you still have that harrowing aura, I would say, on the album, but definitely more, mid to up tempo, and some of the tracks even have more of a bit of a little single oriented, because you got about 3 tracks that are under 5 minutes. I know that's something that's kind of different for you too, right?
I know. I gotta get like shunned. Well, yeah. I mean, it's funny. I am not like a particular fan for us with this album. I don't consider it to be a stoner rock album, and I do find more and more that seems to be kind of a catch-all.
I agree.
And and which is funny because I just hate the subgenre thing, but I do think there's like so much nuance in everything that's coming out now. And that was kind of, we didn't intentionally set out to do that with this album. But I'd been like wanting to like pick it up a little bit more and like be just like lean into being a little bit more aggressive. And I was listening to a lot of Soundgarden at the time.
Okay.
But this is also the first album that Heavy Temple has written as a band. Because the first 3 albums, I was like the primary songwriter. And this collaborative effort is like exactly where I want it to be, but like where you kind of just need some extra stuff.
Sure.
To like the drummers, more on like the extreme side of metal. Like Pete Sandoval is one of his favorite drummers.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then the guitarists, I should say Baron Lycan and Lord Paisley, the guitarist. He is really into like psych rock and late 60s, like early 70s fuzzy psychedelic shit. And then I feel like I kind of am just in the middle, but it's just there's so much going on. I feel like there's some Jesus Lizards, some High on Fire, some some Mars Volta maybe, or like Black Angels, and like, so there's just all the stuff. There's like a monolith to everything heavy. You know what I mean? That's at least that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. You know, the drums, like you said, Barrow, man, wow, exceptional job. And you could tell he definitely comes from a more metallic background because, I mean, what I love about it is just everything is so, I mean, especially for a trio, everything just it sounds so complete. You know, it's like, I mean, there's no gaps. It's just, I mean, every time you're maybe, because, you know, I mean, doom metal, a lot of like this kind of style. Like I said, I don't like the subgenre thing either, but I should say heavy rock, right? Usually obviously the bass and the guitar are allowed to breathe. And I think what happens is you both are allowed to breathe, you and the guitarist, Lord Paisley. But with the drums, just it keeps, you know, everything sort of, I guess, cohesive or just tied together. And I mean,
Oh, I just was going to say the word incessant comes to mind sometimes.
Oh, yeah, that's a good word.
But like usually that has a negative connotation. But yeah, no, I didn't mean to interrupt, but like that's just you're describing that, and I was like, it's I feel like the drums really do propel kind of the whole record through the different nature of all the songs. Makes any sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely, it makes totally sense. And so I just quickly, I mean, I'll edit this out if I have to, but Lord Paisley, Grey Bathers guitarist. Okay, so I have a funny story with him because I interviewed him a few years ago when that record came out, and one of the most memorable interviews because he actually did the interview while he was working for a moving company. On the job.
Dude, he was jacked. His forearms were huge when he was working for them. It was nuts.
Yeah, well, it was just funny because he was sitting there kind of like, oh man, you know, like I got to shut the camera off, and everyone's kind of looking at me because he wasn't working. They're kind of looking at him like, dude, come on, working. So he was moving his equipment, you know, I mean, moving the furniture and stuff while he was actually. I was talking to him, interviewing. It was a pretty memorable interview. I'll just leave it at that. It was pretty interesting. But yeah, the other thing I want to talk to you about is where you recorded the album, the Animal Farm in Flemington, which it's funny. It's a town I've been to a lot in my life. I had grandparents that lived there for years, and I remember it being a really rural area back in the 80s and 90s. And obviously you guys recorded that in an actual farmhouse, correct? So talk about that environment. I mean, while recording album, did that have any, I would say, effect on any of the thing that you guys did musically? Talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, we had talked about putting in some interludes or whatever prior to figuring out where we were going to record, because the last album our drummer recorded it.
Okay.
And that's also, I think, why the drums are so good on this record, was because he only had one job, which was to play the drums.
Okay. Which
he did spectacularly. So John over at Animal Farm, I can't remember how I came across his page, but I was like, it just felt like it was time for like everything we've done up until, you know, maybe the pandemic has been DIY. So, you know, it's like I'm booking the shows, getting the shirts made, doing all the whatever. And then we started playing together, and then Magnetic Eye picked us up. And the pandemic then just gave us the opportunity to like flourish a little bit.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Sure.
Excuse me. So we were just really comfortable playing with each other. And we decided that we wanted to go somewhere else to record this album. And I came across the Animal Farm page, and it looked beautiful. You can stay there, which is a thing that's like, sometimes when you record, you know, we like to do like local, we like to record with our friends and whatever, but he's built out the back. So there's a couple bedrooms back there. There's a kitchen. He brought us eggs like from his chickens in the morning.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So you just, and there's like he's got one of those retro consoles with like every fucking game known to man. So we're just playing a shitload of Mario Kart. But to be able to be in the environment where you're recording and have it be this like beautiful setting and just feeling very comfortable, you know, he's always like the first person in the control room in the morning and the last person in the control room at night. And being able to just like play with other instruments that he has, or just like not feeling rushed or cramped or having someone else be able to kind of direct and produce and all this other stuff. So I definitely think the songs were there, but just the atmosphere of the album, the extra instrumentation, the Garden of Heathens track came about as an intro that we normally play live to Jesus Wept. Okay. And then we were like, let's put a harmonium in there and let's put a cello in there. And you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So really just allowed us to, like I said, just sort of open up and kind of do whatever we wanted with this album. And I think that was the point. It's like, fuck it. Let's do whatever we want.
Oh yeah.
You know, I know that it's surprised some people. But it's great. And I would highly recommend anybody go to Animal Farm.
Yeah. Well, that's like an old school way, like how they used to do it back in the day when they recorded those albums. You know, you go in the middle of nowhere sometimes into a house or whatever it is and sit there for, you know, how long it took to finish recording. So that's, and this is the first time you've kind of recorded that way. Is that
correct? The first time was in our friend's basement. The second time was in our friend's garage. The third time was in our basement. And so, this was like our first, you know, we had a budget through the album too. Cause that's the other thing or through the label. I mean, cause that's the other thing too, when you're doing it all yourself, like that's your capital that you have to raise, you know? So it was nice to not have to worry about that. Like to not have to
time and stuff. Yeah. Right.
It's just, you know, because when you're like making a record and writing songs, you just kind of want to do that. And you don't want to, you know, you don't want to do like the social media. You don't want to do the booking. You don't want to do the this and that. It's like, I just want to like write some songs. And that's what I'm saying. The pandemic really just ended up being a blessing in disguise because we literally could not do any of that, even if we wanted to.
Okay.
So all we had was time. It's something about the record is like, it's a little bit magical.
Sure. It's a great record. Yeah. Well, let's talk about one of the tracks too. Let's talk about the first single you had out there, He Write, you know, which is a Welsh word, I believe. I was looking it up, right? Translated into English, it means a deep longing for something, especially one's home. So talk about the inspiration for that track and what, you know, lyrics, you know, mean and so forth.
Well, I went to go see some old family friends and like saw the house that I grew up in. And I spent like most of my adult life, not like being transient, you know, but just like classic divorced parents moving here, moving there, whatever. And I was describing it to one of my friends, and she was like, that's High Wraith is like, that's what you're describing. So I kind of had that rolling around for a little bit. And the idea of the word seemed fitting for the lyrics. It's that one is specifically just about like having to kind of fake it till you make it, and self-doubt, anxiety, depression, you know, whatever. I mean, that's kind of the whole album. It's like it's a very anxious album. But no, it's just sort of like doing the thing that you do when you're out and you're like, I'm a normal human being. And you're like, oh God, on the inside, you're like, you know, so that's but then like feeling like you don't feeling that way. And then in turn, sort of like this non-tangible feeling of like not really having anywhere to go that makes you feel like truly safe, where you can like let all of that stuff, you know, just kind of out, you know what I mean?
Is it something wrong?
Yeah, well, I did read that you said it was obviously the lyrics were about projection as well as realizing one's power, and it's the most personal lyrics that you've ever written.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously you've then definitely took a different approach, obviously, on this record lyrically than you have on the previous ones, correct? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, they're always personal.
Hmm.
But I am I'm not well known. That's not a thing you want to be well known for. It's a classic me thing to wait until the very last minute to write all of the
Really?
fucking
Okay.
words to a song. So
uh,
like half the album I didn't even have all the words to. And we were
mhm.
just like, okay. Um went to the bar around the corner, had a shot of tequila because I gotta get like a little
Loosened
bit.
up a bit.
I
Hmm.
get I get anxious
Hmm.
still.
Sure.
About performing or recording, but um and they just I like started writing one and then they just all were like came out,
Hmm.
and some of the other ones I'd written beforehand, but then the way that they all kind of came together, and then Paisley came up with the title Garden of Heathens. It just was
It's a great name.
like
Yeah.
the record kind of seemed to like manifest itself,
Self. Okay. Hmm.
if that makes any sense. And like I
Hmm.
didn't know necessarily then that I feel sort of like I wrote that record for myself like right now
Hmm.
because we sat on it for a little bit,
Oh, okay. Okay.
and so just like listening back and like listening maybe a little bit more with intent to the words that I did, that I did write, because like
Okay.
sometimes I forget what I'm like, yeah, I did say that, didn't I? Things just have a way of showing up.
Sure. Well, they always say, right, the best way to write, or usually the best music and best lyrics, or whatever you want to say, it usually comes from when, yeah, you're writing for yourself, not for
Mm-hmm.
not for anything else, but for yourself. And so, obviously, that's sounds like that's what you done this record. And like I said, it's definitely, I think, your best record by far. And
I
I think
agree.
and also just what's interesting, I think, about heavy tempo in general is you've now been active for well over a decade. And
Mm-hmm.
I've had this discussion with most bands I interview under the, especially in the heavy rock scene, and it's pretty standard that most bands, it takes a good decade and 3 to 4 releases in order to really start making waves. And I mean, because you guys are still, a lot of people talk about heavy tempo, this new band. It's just like
I
you're not a
know.
new band,
I
It's
know.
like you've been doing this for a long time, but it's like now really globally and just obviously outside of the region, everyone's really catching on to the band. And so I mean,
Mhm.
I mean, like I said, talk about, I guess, the fortitude really that you need these days, especially to have as a touring band that you are, and the challenges is really that a band like Heavy Tempo faces in order to become, I guess, a quote unquote real player, if you will, really in the scene, even though, like I said, you've been doing this for a long time.
Um, well, I like music. I'm a musician. And I just had a couple other bands, like didn't do anything, and like it wasn't that I wanted to like go out there and change the world.
Hmm.
I'm good at it, and I like
Hmm.
doing it. Um, it's like the only time where I am not just absolutely drowning in existential dread.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that in itself becomes kind of addictive. Like that's having a clear mind.
Hmm.
Maybe to the point, maybe to my own detriment. um, you know, uh, but it's for me anyway. It's like necessary
Okay.
almost.
Hmm.
Um, so I always kind of wanted it to operate how I thought Queens of the Stone Age, how Josh Homme kind of operates that, which is like
Okay.
just writing records with your friends. You have people who are in the band
Hmm.
for a time. Maybe they're not in the band anymore for whatever reason, but it's just kind of like it's like everybody's like it was always the intent was to be more than the sum of its parts.
Okay. Hmm.
So that has worked out favorably,
Hmm.
because we've been able to continue, to do things. But as you start touring, as you have to start making choices between like, do I need this job?
Hmm.
um, maybe I can go live with my mom's for a bit or whatever,
Hmm.
Um, I'm glad I started when I did. I think doing this like right now, particularly with this kind of music, it can be a bit more challenging to really like get after it, just because there's so much. There's just so much, you know. And we got lucky. We got picked up after the first EP, or with someone offered to put it out. We weren't looking for that, you know.
Really? Wow. Okay.
But this is like my child, as it were. Maybe as expensive, I don't know. But
yeah.
And it's tough to ask people, you know, like it's hard to say like, hey, leave your partner or leave your job or leave this or do this with me. Because I promise one day it'll be super awesome.
Yeah.
And that's a big ask. So
it is.
Heavy Temple, where it is now, you know, I know that it wouldn't be what it is, and this album wouldn't be here without the things that I've done, because it's mine. Do you know what I mean? Like I can't expect anybody else, and I don't mean that to seem like, oh, it's mine, but you can't expect somebody else to feel that way about your, you know,
your
I
baby.
imagine,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
But you know, there's the countless number of people, even beyond all the amazing players that I've had the opportunity to be in a band with, like. It takes a village to raise a child.
Sure. Good. I like that.
But
Good.
it truly does. It truly does.
Mm-hmm.
I've been very fortunate to have a lot of supportive people in my life. Mom finally came around.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Once I started making a little bit of money.
A little
you know?
money, sure.
No, but sometimes it's circumstance, but it's a lot of fucking hard work. It's a lot of hard work.
Oh yeah. These days
Lifting,
more than ever. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not, we're not even talking about, let's exclude carrying the bass cab up a flight of steps.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's like, and people think that it's one thing, but like whatever those memes, it's like, this is what people think I do. And it's, you know, people at work, they're like, oh, you know, you're a rock band. It's going on, play some concerts. And it's like, it's being in a van for like 4 to 8 hours a day, loading in, sitting there for 5 hours, trying not to drink or get too high. Then you play for 30 minutes and then you're done, but you can't leave. Not that, I mean, it's fun to hang out and party, obviously. So then you're there for another, I mean, you're basically working from sun up to sundown.
Yeah.
And again, big ask. Because I, at times, have been like, bleh. So fortitude is a great word, Matt. That's a great word to use.
That is. Well, that's what you need.
Not for the weak at heart, but
exactly.
No, I mean, it's I have a lot of people to be grateful for.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, you need a lot of people in your corner, like you said, these days, you know, for sure. But then again, if you know, if your music wasn't good, if their art wasn't good, then people wouldn't be teaming up with you to do it. So that's something right there about that. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You know?
Yeah.
Let's also talk about the album's first track, Extreme Indifference to Life. That's another standout to me on the album musically. Really, and the video is really cool. Talk about that video, which is really cool. Is that taking place like an old abandoned like psych ward or something? I mean, that's a pretty.
I can't.
It's a cool video.
It's in New York on a beach. It's near the beach, I think. Oh no, it's not near the beach. I can't remember what the facility is. I think it might be like a school or some sort of.
Okay.
I don't know if it was psychiatric or not. I'm not sure. But our friend Spencer lives up there, and my dear friend Elena Maravelius is multifaceted. So she did all the makeup, wardrobe, hair, special effects. You know, she did the treatment for the video. And we were just talking about concepts and what we could kind of play with, because it's a long song, you know, and people the attention span is, and I mean, mine is very small sometimes. So you need to keep people engaged. So we wanted like a storyline. And those lyrics are specifically about the negative reinforcement that you give yourself. I mean,
so when you're beating yourself up, pretty much,
mentally. Like, yeah, like all the time about everything. Like, you know, it's, you know, you haven't texted me back in an hour. Like, do you hate me? You know, that kind of like this internalizing. Yeah, absolutely. Internalize everything.
Sure. I know, I understand.
And so there's also the chorus is like the realization of that, you know? And so she came up with this idea. We were talking about like dualities and like we see this person and she's like looking for something or someone, and it's like not food, it's not water, it's not shelter, it's, you know, something. So then she sees this other extraordinarily powerful version of herself. And then at the end, I love the pan when he pans in on her. It reminds me of like an Italian like giallo movie.
Yeah.
But then, you know, she opens her eyes and she's just like been that the whole time. So it's not direct, but it's not indirect. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But that is just, it's the eternal struggle of like, am I good or not? You know?
Yeah. And you mentioned something before about touring. Like I said, HT doesn't stand only for heavy tempo; it's just for heavy touring, because you're definitely a vintage road warrior type with, just from the sheer amount of touring you do. I mean, which is we were saying before. I mean, that's just not easy to do. I mean, we could talk about that all day, but I know you guys are gearing up now for a headlining tour that this summer, Nation of Heathens tour, along with Valley of the Sun. I mean, another great rock band too, right there. I mean, coast to coast U.S. tour too. The thing is, normally don't see tours like this within the sea. It's usually more regional. Maybe a couple weeks here and there. But you're doing a full month and a half killer tour here. I mean, you got to be. I know you. I can tell right there just from your.
I'm so nervous. I am like legit.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to admit it. I mean, it's. I hope that people come.
No, they'll come.
I think we're playing some venues that we've played before, some venues that we wanted to play and then couldn't because of COVID, and then some venues that we just have never heard of because we never made it out that way. And looking forward to meeting some new people and playing with some new bands. We really want to like ask people in these cities like who they want to see us with as far as like local bands are concerned.
Okay. That's cool. That's good.
Just because that's like, I feel like it's kind of the move, get on the bill with the local banger. And I'm just always into seeing new stuff anyway. So, and I'm really excited to play with Valley of the Sun. There's a beer.
Nice.
But really excited to play with Valley of the Sun, and just coast to coast like scorpions, man.
Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you out here in California, in San Francisco up here. Like I said, this is, I haven't seen, neither of the bands yet, so I'm very excited for that. And you said you're playing a lot of new places, right? That you haven't, I mean, have you toured out in the Southwest or the Northwest or,
No, we were supposed to do like a whole thing, out to Taos to do, the Mesa, Monolith on the Mesa. Yeah. And then we were going to do the Psycho Smokeout.
Okay, yeah.
But then, the plague happened.
Yeah.
So we did have plans to, conquer the other side of the Mississippi.
Okay.
But they were unfortunately laid to waste. So, pretty much, I think everything kind of west of like Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas. We've, been out to like Wisconsin, but that whole area of the country we've never been to. So I'm really looking forward to that. I like driving.
Oh, you do? So you did the driving?
I mean, everybody drives. I like driving at night.
Oh wow, that's usually the opposite. People usually don't like driving at night. Yeah.
Well, we make sure that we call like a designated dingus before anybody gets too far gone. That what I mean.
Sure.
Because it does. I mean, frankly, like it's fun, but it is not fucking sustainable, man. And you feel like shit. Like I was just in Germany for a week, and it's like I can drink 20 beers, and A, not be wasted, and B, feel so awesome the next day. And then you drink like 3 IPAs here, and you just like have to call out of work for a week.
Oh yeah, well, it's the IPAs. That's the thing. Those things, and they catch up to you. I mean,
dude,
catch up.
And the problem is, if you don't start day drinking at like 9 a.m., it's like I can't hang over there in Europe. That's too intense for me. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to cruising. I like the scenery. Really looking forward to New Mexico and California, and then the Pacific Northwest. Like into the scenery. We have a couple days off here and there, so if you guys are watching or listening, if you have anything fun to do wherever it is that I admittedly have not memorized this schedule yet. So.
It's a big schedule. That's right. You got a lot. Big
schedule. But I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I also saw too coming this weekend. Saturday, May 11th, you're doing a cross collab show in Nashville with Tom and Zach from the Mighty Howling Giants.
Yes, we are.
If you're out there, if everyone's out near Nashville,
actually, we don't have a Nashville. We don't have a Nashville show on this tour. So if you live in or around Nashville and you want to come see us, we're playing with Manta Ray, who are awesome, and our boys in Waxed, who are like, I don't know if you've ever seen that episode of Family Guy where the dude's like smacking the other guy in the face. And he's like, look at my kids, look at my kids, look at my kids, look at my kids.
No, I didn't see that one, no.
That's what I do with Waxed. I just force everyone to listen to Waxed because they're so good. But yeah, so that'll be a nice little fun gig at the Blue Room.
Yeah, is that just sort of an off thing you guys just wanted to do together just for the hell of it, or?
Well, I'm already gonna be down there because I'm driving on the John Garcia and Telekinetic Yeti tour, which will be really fun. So I'll just be hanging out. I'm not selling any merch. I hate that job. That's why we get a wonderful, wonderful woman to do it for us. Mm-hmm. So I was already going to be down there, and then one of the guitarists from Wax they were already playing a show down there, and their headliner dropped off. So he asked if we wanted to come do a one-off, and everything kind of worked out, and everybody got to turn in some frequent flyer miles, and it'll be a nice little party.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And you don't usually see that happen very often. So that's a special
the one-off thing
treat. Yeah, I like
that stuff, man.
That's cool. Yeah,
and we were talking about touring before. Like Heavy Temples toured a lot, but we also we kind of just were like we would hit here and there for like a shorter period of time, and then when you're ready to do like a week, 2 weeks, it's easier to just because really like fuck not going to the same place all like you want to go where people are excited to see you.
Sure.
And if there's like some wherever the hell out in whatever state where people are excited that you're there and they're willing to, I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but like they're willing to take their very hard-earned money during late stage capitalism and buy your shit and support you in the thing that you love doing, like that's where you want to go. So we just did that for a long time. So that's like, we have friends in Nashville. So like, let's just go to Nashville. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have friends in Ohio. Let's go to Ohio. We have friends, So I'm very excited.
Yeah, that sounds.
I keep saying
really
that.
Cool.
I am very excited.
Oh, you are obviously. Yeah, that's great. You got a lot going on, a lot to be excited about. And speaking of that, just one more touring question. I know you guys had the pleasure of touring with the legendary Wino and The Obsessed. Something that I'm sure pretty much every rocker out there in the world would want to experience. What's if you got one memory or whatever it is from that tour with Wino? Let me. What was your best memory? I should say of that tour you did.
Man, we went to go stay at oh my gosh, what's his Henry's house from St. Vitus. The amount of shit that he has in that house, like he's got Queens of the Stone Age from like 98 on VHS. He's got like pinball machines and like Kiss heads and like it's like the sickest rock and roll museum just in the suburb of Texas with a sick pool. So that is like a personal favorite. But I mean, I just really enjoyed touring with them. They were like professional and really relaxed and like fun to hang out with because we like to hang out with who the bands we're playing with, and we were in, oh man, what a wild night, Chattanooga. Holy shit. I saw Wino, like I swear to God, he like resurrected this dude who passed out because he did too much nitrous behind the fucking venue.
Oh shit.
Hippie. But like earlier there was this dude who rolled up and he was like, he rolled up in a wheelchair, looked like he wasn't doing too well for himself, but like saw that we were in a band and just started talking about playing music or whatever. And then Wino pulled his guitar out and he was playing and this dude was singing. And then he just like offered the dude his guitar.
Wow. That sounds like him. Yeah. That's totally Wino.
And, I don't know, man. They're just really pleasant and fun to be on tour with.
Yeah. No,
and it's nice because like we were all just, we were kind of dialed in at that point and they didn't give a shit. We just rolled up like, half hour before doors and load all our shit in, and then we just play, do a little line check. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like, well, we need you guys to be here at 3:00 because.
Yeah, just let you do your thing. Yeah.
Be here at 3:00. We are not going to serve you any alcohol until 7, and nothing's open. So no, but that was a good tour.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, no.
And we got to see like the Bass Pro Shop Pyramid or whatever the fuck that thing is.
Oh, really? Where was that? That's
Nashville or
Nashville? Okay, Tennessee.
Or is it Bass Pro Shop Pyramid? That like weird Illuminati building.
I think I know.
It's so strange.
I've never been there, but
it's just like a big glass pyramid. It says Bass Pro Shop.
Wow.
I'm like, I guess.
Interesting.
Gotta have somewhere to keep all the fishing rods. I
guess so. That's why they get these million of these huge Bass Pro Shops all over the country too, and shit, Well, anyway, so once again, I just want to tell everyone out there, go right now and pick up a copy of Garden of Heathens. It's out on Magnetic Eye Records and Nighthawk. So what's the best place that we could send our listeners and viewers to keep up with the band, purchase merch, all that good stuff? Where should they go?
I think we're most active on Instagram. We do try to check in on Facebook. If you want me to be real with you, I haven't been on that dumpster fire in a second.
Well, there's a
can't handle it, dude. The comment section, I can't. It's because you want to not see it, and you just sit, and then you're like,
it triggers you. It triggers you. Absolutely. Yeah.
The first rule of the internet is just don't fucking say anything. But no, so mostly Instagram. We have a link tree up there, which I do my very best to keep updated. But Bandcamp, when the Philadelphia post office decides to do their jobs, Bandcamp.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, those are probably the two best places. Or you can email us. We like emails. It's just enter theheavytemple@gmail.com. Even if you want to just say hey or whatever, find out what everybody's favorite foods are and stuff. But yeah, the Instagram is for sure the one.
Very cool. Now the one T-shirt you got out, speaking, and I saw it online. you guys can all suck it.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? Is that just like an inside thing you guys got? That's a pretty
no. Well, it was just so like I'm in my late 30s, so a product of the 90s, and like it was just everybody in like 5th and 6th grade was just like degenerate. Everybody's like, suck it, Degeneration X, Triple H, China, and I'll be honest, I was probably like ripped a bong and was having a good time, and I was like, this is a good idea. So yeah, the Heavy Temple, it's like the Degeneration X logo. And then instead of just putting suck it, we just, it's suck it. It's just it's not necessarily an inside thing, but it's language that you can expect to hear in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah.
Dickhead is a popular one here. Yeah. So, yeah. But I didn't want to call it, it's just I did have like a, it's kind of like it's for all the haters, you know what I mean? Everybody's got some. Everybody's got some. It's okay. It's okay.
What makes the world go round, exactly.
And particularly Philly, because it's a
I'm from New York, so we're
I figured you weren't from the West Coast, buddy.
Yeah, no, not originally, no.
But yeah, you know how it is. You know how out here.
Philly, New York, Boston. It's always a discussion which one has the most assholes in which city,
I feel also though it's like of all the cities I've been to, there is just something like magical about Philadelphia in that like it is impossible for you to hate us more than we hate ourselves, and that's why you can't fuck with us. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
Like oh, we lost the Super Bowl. Well, like how many Super Bowls have you won? Oh, 0. Shut up.
Yeah.
Oh, you play for Dallas? Shut up. You know what I mean? That kind of shit. So it's just like not that I'm super invested in sports, but I feel like just when you live in Philadelphia, you don't really have a choice. So that's just trying to embody
Embrace
the
Philly
spirit
in
of
you.
1776.
Hell yeah. There you go. There you go. Perfect. Awesome, man. Awesome. All right. Well, Nighthawk, really appreciate you coming on the show and giving me your time here.
Thanks for having me, man.
Of course. It was great meeting you. And yeah, I can't wait to see you guys on the road in the summer out here in Northern California. Good luck. Safe travels. And yeah.
Thanks, man.
Save
yeah,
one of those shirts
give us a holler when the show's coming up.
I definitely will. Yeah, I definitely will. I'll definitely be there. Yeah.
All right.